I'll give you a spooky example, although I should have told you earlier when you mentioned, how people feel about compliance and all that.
Mm.
I have a client who the first time we introduced Smart Pixel, they called it Creepy Pixel for the first 6 months. But my son and I were on college tours, and we happened to be, I won't name the university, but it was a university in the Southeastern Conference, and we're sitting at a football game. And while probably somewhere between the first and the second quarter, he gets a text message from a competing university who had geo-framed one of their competitor schools
Mm.
to say, you really ought to come look at XYZ. And I was like, wow, that's pretty
That
impressive, right?
it's, well, impressive but aggressive too. Like you're
Yeah,
doing it while he's sitting there, maybe later,
right,
like don't be
right.
so obvious about it.
Right. Well, you'll find, I think a lot of us don't realize what the application is. The technology has, as I
Yes.
said, been around for a while.
Yeah.
Like I was at a football game not that long ago, and at halftime, I think I got a text message saying that, if you show up at the bookstore now and present this coupon, you get 30% off of a hat or a jersey or a T-shirt or something
Mhm.
like that. So, a lot of people have been using it. They've been focusing on the anonymous side, right? So they know that there is a device with this mobile ad ID in our football stadium or in our town. We don't
Yeah.
know who or what or anything about that individual. We
Sure.
just know definitively the device is there. So all we have to do is send a unpersonalized, or as we call a dumb ad, right, out to say we're just trying to spark behavior.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of folks, and it happens all the time on Waze. So if you're
Yeah.
ever driving somewhere and you stop at a stoplight and while you're stopped at that light, you're presented with a pop-up for McDonald's who's offering a 2-for-1 on biscuits, right?
Yeah.
That's how that technology is being deployed.
That makes a lot of sense to me, and it's relatively benign. The implications there, could go any way, but I see that as, you're here doing this thing. Have you considered that? It's almost like being in the checkout line at Target. There's an impulse buy that could
Right.
be made on your way. All that kind of stuff makes total sense. I think the more complicated or more strategic applications, they take a lot more thought as you look at the data and you understand your audience and you already have knowledge about how they behave.
Well, what I guess I wouldn't call it an argument. I would say what we would like to point out is that some people might say that Waze pop up from McDonald's is invasive, and I
Hmm.
would probably agree with you,
Hmm.
right? I'm sure they're making money, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it, right?
Sure.
What I would argue is that our technology, I hope, allows our clients to be far more informed. And so when you are presented, whether that's a pop-up ad, of which we don't have a lot that do, but any type of then investment that client is making going forward is much more educated by
Hmm.
validating who their audiences are, and logically, I've become now an empty nester with my youngest off in college, and so our behaviors are going to be different than they were 10 years ago when our kids
Yeah.
were in their early teens, right?
Yeah.
And so we've long had research and surveys that indicate that people do not find that invasive if in fact it's relevant and informative and something that they can use.